Hey guys, how you going? My name is Dom and today I'll be showing you how to create this push collapsible navigation menu using HTML, CSS and a tiny bit of JavaScript to actually get the toggle to work. Okay, so we can see here we can close and open the navigation menu and it sort of pushes everything else on your page to the right side and shows the actual menu with the links and the icons. Okay, so this is very easy to achieve. So if we go inside this tab right here, we're going to be starting from scratch to create what I just showed you. Now, the source code for this is going to be linked down below if you want to download and follow along. Okay, so going inside the HTML for this page right here, as we can see, it's basically an empty HTML file. Now, the first step is going to be to head over to the Ion Icons website here. I'll leave a link to this below, and just go down, and we're going to be including this icon pack on our website. So just copy these two script tags here, and once you've placed them before the closing body tag right down here, we can now begin to use a bunch of icons from this library here on the site. So of course you can choose whatever icons you want for your sidebar. Of course we do need the actual close icon here just for the close button, but we'll get to that very shortly. Okay, now the way it's going to work is I'm going to be showing you the HTML first before moving on to the CSS. Okay, so starting in the HTML right under the body, basically there's going to be two main elements in the page. The first one is going to be a navigation element here with a class of nav, and this right here just represents the sidebar. The next one is going to be a main element with a class of main, and this one here represents all of your main content on your page. So typically you can kind of think of this being the second body, so all your content goes inside here. Alright, now inside the nav element we're going to be placing a button, and this is going to be the close button. So we can say button right here with a type of button and a class of nav-close. Okay, inside the close button we're going to be using one of the icons. So going back to the icon website, we're just going to click on the X icon or the close icon here and just copy the code right down here by clicking on it, then going back inside the HTML and just paste that code inside your button, and now it's going to display. We do want to just say right inside here, give this a size attribute of large. That way we've got a larger icon. So there's basically two sizes to choose from. We're choosing large. Save this here, go back inside the browser, and we get something like this. Okay, so let's go back inside here now and finish off this nav. So below the button we're going to have a list or a container for each one of our navigation links. So let's make a new div called nav-links-container. Inside here now we're going to have every single link. So we're going to be using an anchor tag or link tag for this. Let's make these go to nothing just for now. Of course, put your own href inside here wherever your link goes. Let's give this a class of nav-link, and then inside here we're going to be having two elements. The first one is going to be your navigation text, your label. The next one is going to be your actual icon. So inside here we can make a new span called nav-text, and we can call this one, for example, products. Okay, then when it comes to the icon, once again going back to the website, I'm going to be choosing an icon here. It's called cube, just to represent a list, or sorry, just to represent products. Okay, so copy the code right down here and paste our code inside there and give this a size once again of large. Okay, save this back in the browser and we have something like this. Perfect. Okay, now we are almost done with the HTML. If I go back inside here, I'm just going to I might just copy and paste what I've done previously. So it's just going to be a bunch of duplicates of what I just showed you. So I'll paste in my code from the example at the beginning of the video here. We can see everything is the exact same in terms of the span, the icon, and the anchor tag. Okay, so let's minimize down or collapse this nav-links container, and you know what, actually we're done. We're done with the HTML. Okay, so we've got something like this on the page. So let's transform this into what we're seeing right here. So to achieve that, let's go up inside the style tag of your HTML, or of course, you're encouraged to use an external style sheet for this, but for simplicity, I'm going to keep my styles inside these style tags. So, when it comes to these styles, the first thing is we're going to be targeting the body here. Now, we're going to be setting a margin of 0. This is so that all of our content here is going to be positioned in the top right corner. Now, it's kind of optional if you want to do this or not, but I'm going to do it that way. All my content is, tight up against the edges of the web page. The next one down is going to be an overflow of hidden. Now, we're going to be seeing what this does towards the end of the video. In fact, this needs to be an overflow X of hidden. So I'm going to come back to this one and show you what it actually does towards the end of the video. Okay. Now, the next class to target here is going to be the class of nav. So for our nav class, obviously representing the entire sidebar itself, we're going to be setting a width of 350 px, okay, and a height of 100 vh. So that just means basically 100% of the visible area on the web page. Okay, then give this a position of fixed, so it floats on top of everything else on the page. A top of 0 and a left of 0. That way, it's in the top left corner. Let's give this a background of 333 for dark grey, and we're just going to leave it at that. So if I save this here and go back inside the browser, we've got something like this. Okay, so it's got that 350px width right here, and we can see it's in the top left corner. Now, it is currently hiding the main content. Okay, so if I inspect this right here, and I just hide the navigation element right here, we can see that the content is behind it. So just keep that in mind as we progress through the solution. Alright, now going back inside here, let's style up now the navigation close. Okay, so for the navigation close, so the nav close class, we're going to be giving this a background of none. Okay, a border of none, a display of flex, and an align items of center. So these two here, this display flex and align items of center, is going to vertically align our icon. Okay, a margin left of of auto. That way it's positioned in the right of our navigation menu. Let's give this some padding of 15px top and bottom and 25px left and right. Let's give this a color of triple D, giving us a very light gray, and a cursor of pointer. If I save this here, go back inside the browser, we can see that the close button here has our padding. It's in the right corner of the actual navigation, and obviously it looks just like the one I showed you in the example. So I just want to stop here now and actually get the functionality of the navigation toggle working. Okay, so we're going to come back to the icons and the text because those things are just aesthetic. So let's actually make the navigation bar or the menu work. So the way it's going to work here is basically we're going to be hiding the navigation class here off the left of the screen. So it's going to be hiding off the left of the screen. Then when we click on the open navigation button, or when the navigation bar opens up, we're basically going to push everything to the right side. Okay, so how do we do that? Well, the first step is just to push the navigation menu off the side of the screen. So for this, we're going to be going down here, going to give this a transform of translate X, okay, then say negative 350px. So now it's going to be on the x-axis 350px negative, effectively pushing it off the side of the screen. If I save this here, go back in the browser, we can see it is now gone. If I edit the value here of the translate to be something like 300px, we can see it's not all the way there. It's 50px out due to the width of navigation bar. So making this negative 350 is going to hide it completely. Alright, cool. So now, what styles do we apply when the navigation menu is open? So to achieve this, we're going to be using a class on the body. So going back inside here, we're going to be firstly placing a class on the body here just to demonstrate what happens. So if I put a class here of nav-open, now that I've saved this here, when I open the page up, because the body has the class of nav-open, I expect the navigation bar to be opened up. Okay, now in the real world, in this solution here, the JavaScript is the one which is toggling this class on the body tag. Okay, but just for demonstration purposes here, let's put the nav-open class on there and just apply some styles. Okay, so going back inside here, when the nav-open class is set on the body, so if I go here and I say nav-open, okay, we're going to say .nav. So we're going to be targeting the navigation sidebar when the nav-open class is present. We're going to say transform and just say translate X and make this 0. Okay, save this right here, go back in the browser, we can see that the sidebar is now visible. If I remove this body class here of nav-open, just like this, it goes away. So not only do we need to move the sidebar to the right side, like we've done, we also need to move the main content to the right side. So going back inside here, let's say nav-open and change this now to be nav-open, then we're going to say .main. And for the .main, you guessed it, it's going to be transform, translate X, this time 350px, the same width as the navigation bar. Save this here, back in the browser, we can see that this is the state in which the navigation bar is open. We've pushed the content inside the main to the right side, the same width of the actual navigation bar. So that's how we're achieving this right here. So now let's use some JavaScript and a button just like this to make this work on user interaction. So going back inside here, let's first add a button inside the main. So button with a type of button, and we can just say inside this button here, let's just say open navigation, or you know what, yeah, that's fine. So open navigation. Now in terms of the JavaScript here, let's go down and create a new script tag, and let's make a new function here called toggle nav. Okay, so when the toggle nav function is called, we expect the navigation to be toggled. So to achieve this, we're simply going to toggle the class of nav-open on the body. So with that being said, let's remove this class by default when the page first loads up and instead make it happen using JavaScript. So down here, we're going to say document.body.classList.toggle, then pass through here nav-open. Okay. Cool. So now when toggle nav is called, it's going to be toggling the class lists, the nav-open class on the body. Okay, so save this here, back in the browser. Then we can head inside the console just to test this, right? And we can call the toggle nav function. Press enter, boom, it opens up. And of course the content here is pushed to the side. Let's call it again, and it goes away. Perfect, right? But where is the smooth animation or transition? So to achieve our smooth, nice, transition like this, back in the CSS, we're going to simply apply a transition property on the nav. So down here, we can just say transition, and we can say transform of 0.2 seconds. That way, it takes 0.2 seconds to complete our translate X. The same goes for the main. So let's target the main right here. And we're going to be once again applying a transition of transform at 0.2 seconds. So save this, back in the browser, let's call the toggle nav, and it opens up, do it again, and it closes. So now we can simply bind this function to this button right here. So going back in the browser, in the text editor, we can simply say on click, there we go, and run that function. So guys, I do not recommend you use on-click inline here. Obviously, you're going to have to style up your own button for when the navigation, for a open navigation button. So that's going to be up to you. But right here, for example, let's add this on-click to this open navigation. So back in the browser, click it, there we go, it works. So we need to add the exact same toggle on the close button. So once again, you can cheap out and you can use the on click here on the button here, but obviously I do not recommend that. So to get around that, it's quite straightforward. Just go inside the JavaScript right down here. Just got to say document.query selector. Let's select the class of nav-close, then just say .addEventListener. When the user clicks on the nav-close button, gonna run this function inside here, toggle nav. Save this back in the browser, open, press the close button, boom, it goes away. So guys, we're almost done. So now we just need to apply some more styles to make the navigation links actually look like proper links. So to achieve this now, let's go down below the nav close and target the class of nav-links-container. So we want to here on the container want to have this nice shadow for the actual icons, just to separate the top section here and the bottom section. So to achieve this, let's apply a box shadow here of something like 0 and then negative 10px for the vertical direction. Then say 10px for the actual shadow size, then say RGBA 0, 0, 0, and then 0.15. Save this back in the browser. We now have a nice shadow on our separation there for the nav links container. Okay, but unfortunately you probably can't see it, but the shadow is going over on the right side here. So right on the edge of the navigation menu, it's actually overflowing. So to fix that, we can apply a simple overflow of hidden on the nav, and that should now hide what you probably couldn't see anyway, but it is now gone. So next up, let's style these links. So going back inside here, let's apply, or let's target the class of nav-link, and for these ones, going to give this a display of flex. This then allows us to separate the text and the icon. So we can say here, align items of center to make them vertically centered. Very important. Next up, we've got justify content of space between, to put some space between the icon, where is it? Right down here, the icon and the nav text. Save this back in the browser. Guys, you know what? I'm going to apply that class by default, so it's easier to demonstrate this kind of thing. So let's apply a class of nav-open on the body when the page first loads up. So we have this. So we've got the separation of the label and the icon using that justify content right up here. Next up, we're going to say a padding on these links to be 15px top bottom, 25px left and right, the same padding used for the close button right up here. Next up, we've got a text decoration of none to remove that default underline for links, and finally a text color of light gray. Okay, save this back in the browser, and we have this right here. Perfect, right? So we have our light text, and we've removed that, that underline. Next up, we have got right down below the nav-text class. So for our text only, going to be given this a font size of 22px, a font family of assistant, and then sans serif. Obviously, guys, you can use your own font size and font family here. These just have worked for me. And a font weight of 500 if your font supports it. Save this back in the browser, refresh, and we have our font change, right? Very straightforward. Now, let's apply a simple hover effect to give the user some feedback when they are hovering over our links. So going back inside here, let's target the nav-links class, nav-link, then say :hover. So when the user hovers over the link, or when the user hovers over the close button, okay, we're going to apply a background color. We're going to say background, then just say 255, 255, 255, and then 0.05. So, hold on a sec, what's going on here? Background needs to be : RGBA, then 255, 255, 255, 0.05. So basically here, we're applying a 5% opaque black background to our buttons and the nav links. This way, if we hover over the links now, you know what? Sorry guys, it's actually white. So a 5% white background. So now we've got our, nice lighter background when hovering over the links, and the best part about it is if I was to change the background color of our nav, so for example, if I say 009578, that is the decode green color, save this, we can see that our nice white has basically bleeded through and is using the background color to inherit and give that lighter shade of green. So back inside here, let's put this back to the dark gray, and we are basically done. But I told you before I was going to mention this overflow X. So what is this overflow X doing on the body? Well, going back inside here, let's see what happens if I remove the overflow of X. So going inside the elements section right up here, if I get rid of this overflow X of hidden, we can see on the bottom there the navigation bar appears and we have something like this going on. So to prevent that, apply the overflow X of hidden and you're now good to go. Now this right here can probably cause problems on your website, specifically if you have content which scrolls horizontally. So be careful with this one right here, because you may need to, if you want to use this navigation bar solution, you may need to adjust your overflows on your elements that cause that horizontal overflow. So keep that in mind when you are using this solution for your navigation. Okay, so that's how to create a push collapsible navigation menu using HTML, CSS, and a tiny bit of JavaScript. If today's video helped you out, drop a like, guys, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.